What's up, fam? With much love or respect to yourself and much love from this side of Africa. Shout out to yourself for being here because today's video, they're getting creepier every minute. Watch till the end and forget not to press the like button. Let's dive in.
Schools train people to be ignorant with style. They give you the equipment that you need to be a functional ignoramus. American schools do not equip you to deal with things like logic. They don't give you the criteria by which to judge between good and bad in any medium or format. And they prepare you to be a usable victim for a military-industrial complex that needs manpower. As long as you're just smart enough to do a job and just dumb enough to swallow what they feed you, you're going to be all right. But if you go beyond that, you're going to have these grave doubts that give you stomach problems, headaches, make you want to go out and do something else.
What's the alternative for the parent who would agree with you?
Well, remember that the school isn't the only place that a child gets educated. If you realize that the schools are doing damage, and I believe this, I believe that schools do a lot of damage to kids, then you should do what you can at home to help give them something to counteract what's happening to them at school.
You mean encourage creativity?
Encourage them to read things other than what the school gives them. Encourage them to watch things on television other than cartoons, because I don't believe that television is all bad, and some things that are on are very useful. And give them some support. Let them feel that you as a parent want them to be smart, not just to be successful, not just to be a nice little person, that you want them to develop their thinking apparatus.
These occultists meditate to get into Lam's head. It is Lam. I mean, the similarities are there. Lam is what this gray-headed alien that's on the back of the dollar bill is all about. Here's the Confessions of Aleister Crowley, a self-portrait of him looking very similar. Doja Cat, she came out saying that she's part of the Illuminati now, the Illuminatites. I think my cat is Illuminati. But is she trolling, or is she showing us something that is deeply connected to the occult? So she tweeted this funny picture. It's hilarious, but it looks just like Lam. Lam is what Aleister Crowley was summoning, and these occultists go into the mind of Lam.
Olha só. Gente grande dentro do jacaré, ó.
Trump's in jail. You can quit building the wall.
Mexico is paying to build a wall. Did you hear about that? You know why?
Why's that?
Okay, so whoever's over here, they're gonna try to go back
You're trying to go back?
to Mexico, getting ready for a collapse. You know, and the dollar. So they thinking that a lot of people's gonna start.
Trying to go back?
Yeah. So now Mexico wants to hold everybody back.
Trump's in.
And those emojis honestly should be illegal. I've been emailing Apple every single day to remove the meat emojis from the iPhones, and they're not doing it. I don't know why they're not doing it. I've been emailing them every single day to stop putting the meat emojis in the phones. Like, it should be illegal. It's offensive to me, and it's triggering to people like me who are vegan. It is so triggering, and I don't know why they don't take them off the iPhone, because they're so triggering. They're so triggering.
Man, there's a lot of crazy things in the internet, man, but some of them are really disturbing. What was happening in that video, man? What is that those people are doing? Is it some game or some art? Oh, I'd like to know. If you have any idea, you can share in the comment section. Because I think they seem crazy in some ways, but you can tell me. And about that video with that guy complaining about the meat emojis because he's vegan. Yo, what's up? Do you guys eat emoji these days or what? Because I can't see any issue using meat emojis if you're a vegan. I don't mean to offend any vegan fellows out there, but can you tell me if it affects you by touching those meat emojis? And should they really be removed? You can share your thoughts about that in the comment section. Otherwise, watch till the end for some jaw-dropping videos.
I get rid of you, which I'm enjoying you so much today. I really am.
I'm enjoying you too.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
But a little bird told me that you said you might be retiring and resigning the job this year. Say it isn't so. Is it true?
I don't know when I'm leaving. This is an honor and a privilege, and I love working for President Biden every single day.
So today, as you all saw just an hour or so ago, President Obama announced that, President Biden. Whoa!
If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with it.
It's going to have to go to 7 billion people. Saving lives now, in the world, and building back better. Nobody will be safe if not everybody is. That's how we're going to end this.
Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about a long-planned agenda of a group of ultra-rich people and their financial mafia based in the city of London and on Wall Street to use a pseudo as the guise behind which, while our attention is on the they want to complete their decades-long efforts to gain full and complete control over all of us. There are numerous platforms on which this group has been meeting and discussing this agenda, but the most important one is that of the World Economic Forum, which was invented in 1971 by a then 33-year-old Klaus Schwab. Its members are 1,000 global corporations with at least $5 billion in annual sales, politicians, media representatives, scientists, and other so-called high-profile personality. They meet once a year in Davos, but there are other such meetings, for example.
Now, they're just giving you all kinds of information and data that's really vital to understanding what the game plan really is. And the game plan is ultimate control. I believe they think they're almost at the point of no return where it can't be corrected. We can't fix this anyway. They're already winning. So why not just let the cat out of the bag a little further? That's some of the stuff we're seeing right now. But I want to show you another clip here from a wicked individual named Noah Harari. He's the false prophet. They call him the prophet, but he's giving the ultimate insider look at AI.
Contrary to what some conspiracy theories assume, you don't really need to implant chips in people's brains in order to control them or to manipulate them. For thousands of years, prophets and poets and politicians have used language and storytelling in order to manipulate and to control people and to reshape society. Now AI is likely to be able to do it. And once it can do that, it doesn't need to send a robot to shoot us. It can get humans to pull the trigger if it really needs to. AI has just hacked the operating system of human civilization. What we are potentially talking about is nothing less than the end of human history. Now, not the end of history, just the end of the human-dominated part of what we call history.
Now, you do know that what they're talking about is that even with the Mark of the Beast precursor practice serum, which don't take it this next go around because they will induce it, they will bring it out. They got something cooked up that they're going to bring to the forefront as strong and as quickly as they can, and it's already in motion. But here's the thing. What he is saying is no matter what happens next, however this goes, they want to simply have us
manipulated by the digital overlords that they're trying to cause world domination with. Now, this man here is a false prophet. He's anti-religion, anti-God, anti-everything that has to do with anything of good moral fabric. He's completely demonized. He's got all these circumstances going on that would stand against everything that we would consider righteous and good, and yet here he is just talking about so much of this. Now, the big question that's been going on, we've been seeing now, you see the script, you see the idea that Pervy Gates and some of these sickos and twisted lizards are trying to bring onto the scene and the horizon. You see guys like this, that is the right-hand dark henchman of Klaus Schwab and all these wicked slime balls over there, and you recognize that altogether they want to dominate the culture and society, and so far they're being pretty successful at it. One of the things that we've got to recognize is this, though, is people are arguing and saying, well, we've got things that have happened in everywhere from California a few years ago to the fires we're seeing in Canada, to now we're looking at what they did in Hawaii, the way that broke down. You know, they won't even let true journalism in there at the moment because of the way things have gone. And let me just say something to you. They're saying, oh, it's all conspiracy based. Well, listen, whether there was a laser or not a laser, whether there was sky wars and all this stuff or not, here's what you got to recognize. Regardless of what it was, something happened that has put more power into the hands of BlackRock, Vanguard, all these places, and the celebrities and the elites are the only ones benefiting off the poor civilians that are being crushed and dominated by these big corporate mongrels. They're allowing these things to happen because it's better for the elites that the small people are driven out, and whether or not it was by the powers of satellite lasers or airplanes, I want to say one thing about it, though. Even in that conspiracy discussion, you got to recognize it's still a possibility. They have the technology. People say that is wild. Why would you say things like this? They have the technology. I want to show that to you. Let me show you a clip from nearly 10 years ago. 10 years ago, and it's Mikio Keku, and he's talking to an interview on a news program nearly 9 years ago, but this is actually at this point nearly 10 years ago. And here he is talking about weather control, agriculturally, and even militarization of weather control using special tech. Let's look at this together.
Lasers? Really? To change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain
Lasers
once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me.
Bring down lightning bolts. Did you hear that part? We're actually sending lasers into the sky to precipitate weather and bring down lightning bolts. That's strong. Does that remind you of something that could be happening or maybe did happen? Let's keep watching.
Had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War.
In the 60s.
The Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and...
Agricultural, commercial, big events and sensitive buildings. Military. Look at this. Here's 3 areas of the purpose of floods. Commercial, big events and sensitive buildings. What does that even mean? Big events and sensitive buildings. And military. Military. Well then, what in the world would the military be doing with special weaponry that can begin to change the entire landscape, whether it be tsunamis, hurricanes, God forbid, earthquakes? But he's talking here about altering the weather so it begins to send down lightning bolts. He said they can do that. That's something they're already in motion with. Look at these 3 areas, all the way up to military. Military, very interesting. Let's keep going.
Want lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam. firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
There it is. There it is, guys. Now listen, I think it's time that we are awake, not woke. I think it's time that we recognize what's actually going on in the world. The Spirit of the Lord wants victory. The Spirit of the Lord wants you to live, move, and have your being. And all these things that I'm showing you and we're talking about are not meant to scare you. They're meant to prepare you so you can be filled with the Word of God and you can keep going to the Bible. You got to keep going to the Word of God. You got to keep going to the Bible, because I'm telling you right now, we're living out Matthew 24. We're living it out, and there's so much to be said about this in the days and seasons and times we're living in. But I got to also say to you, I sense in here there's a resurgence. The ability to turn this narrative is yet upon us. I sense it so clearly. Now, there's so much going on, and it's very serious, but let me share another thing with you. Now, I'm going to talk to you just right now about the puppy killer. He's going to come on here. He's going to talk about, torturing puppies and all this stuff. That's not what he's going to talk about. He's actually going to talk about this. And the next round, how they want this done. They want people to cover up and do all this. Now, some of this has been tapped out of this particular video because some of the platforms it's on, if it's talked about too clearly, they will remove and take away. But let me show you this. This is really important. So we've removed some of this because it's important to hear this. Now, every time you hear a pause or a blanked out spot, it's talking about, oh yeah.